Space is the place in your face. That's right, I'm pulling lyrics from an old Space Hog song. They're a band, and one of the guys married Liv Tyler at one point. Let's read Willful Child by Steven Erikson. I received an uncorrected proof through NetGalley in exchange for an honest review. The best way to describe Willful Child is that it is definitely an homage slash parody slash riff of Star Trek. It is heavy into the riff of Star Trek. Steven Erikson is, of course, the author of the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. I haven't read it, but it's a 10-volume fantasy series. But obviously, having now finished that series, Steven Erikson is looking to stretch his legs a little bit, and you can tell that he's enjoying this chance to just do something different and to breathe life into areas that he might not have explored in his published writing previously. Plus, he's already an established author, and he's Canadian, and that's just really cool from my point of view. The book starts off with a father and a son, rather than being abducted by aliens, end up finding a derelict spacecraft sitting on their lawn. It's almost like the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy when the kid gets into the spaceship. It's like that. The big conceit in this book is that humanity, we're a bunch of turds, and when we get into the stars by stealing another alien's spaceship, we continue being turds, and the galaxy suffers for it. It's about Captain Hadrian Sawback, an egotistical, full of himself, crazy, bravado-filled captain who runs around the cosmos stirring up crap. This also harkens back to many of the earlier heroes of science fiction, which I won't get into here, but the resemblance is uncanny. That's where this type of character comes from. This kind of story has been done before. We've seen it in movies like Galaxy Quest. We've seen it in books like The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Zach Brannigan from Futurama is definitely an accurate picture of this character. It's like that, amplified times about 1,000. As a fan of Star Trek and as a fan of science fiction, I really enjoyed the story, mostly because it just had a lot of callbacks to things I was already familiar with. There's a weird reference to the Borg from Star Trek. There's a crazy super chicken that only speaks in clucks. That part was hilarious. There's a lot of quotes that I ended up highlighting in this book because there's just lots of funny jabs and crazy mentions of things that I'm just not going to tell you about because you don't want to spoil the fun or the humor or the unexpected twists that pop up all of a sudden. One example I will use is that whenever the captain gives a speech, he often mentions that somebody should be moving a camera closer to his face, dollying in as he gives his speech, and he gets a little mad when he realizes that there isn't one coming in, so he orders somebody. It's like, make sure the camera's coming in as I'm giving this, big speech about how wonderful humanity is. The book isn't so much about the plot as it is about the jokes. They go from one event to the other simply to get from one joke to another. Here's a killer robot. Dealt with killer robot. Okay, here's a killer slug. Dealt with killer slug. Here's a killer this. Dealt with killer that. If you've seen the movie Hot Shots, it's kind of like that. The plot is there, but it's really just a carrier for the jokes. It's got so much momentum as it's running, it doesn't have time to really stop and linger on anything. It's always moving straight through to the next thing. Captain Hadrian Sawback is also hitting on every single female crew member he meets. He isn't subtle with his innuendo. He just throws it out there. Do you want to have sex? Do you want to have sex? Do you want to have sex? That part was a little bit frustrating because, we got it the first time in the first joke. It's an aspect of Star Trek and the whole Captain Kirk mythos that's already been made fun of so much that it doesn't matter here. But if you like a little bit of crazy in your sci-fi, it's not a bad way to spend a few days. Anyway, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.